All right. Should I say it?
Yeah, you have to.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show. Now on Feel It Radio.
Like, that's the whole point. You're supposed to, like...
Well, this is a video, though.
No, but we're doing it the regular way.
Thanks. Can we talk to Jenny now?
No, I'd like to give you a little shit first,
All right.
and then go from there. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
Fair enough.
Jenny, thank you so much for being here.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, like Jenny obviously has a very excellent podcast herself, Wake Up with Jenny and Friends. And it's so amazing to have you. We've been kind of chasing you for a little while, so thanks for coming.
Well, I love a good stalker, so I'm happy to be here. So.
Oh, good to know.
I've been known to be that guy.
I want to know where the friends
Wait
are.
a second. Why is the window? Hold on.
Well, I think are you in Toronto?
I am. Yeah, I'm.
Not that I'm stalking. I was just asking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me think about this. Map, geocode, location.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll have it all by the end. So you're in the GTA.
Yeah, I'm in the Forest Hill area, so it's nice down here.
Amazing. Nice. And what kind of started got the ball rolling with your podcast? Like, was it COVID or was it before that?
I started a couple of years ago. We're in the 4th season now, and it was just kind of one of those things that I've had very, very intense, serious careers. And so I always have that side of me that craves that creative element too. So I do a lot of creative stuff on the side. I have a few other businesses that I run, and my papa would call me artsy fartsy, I think would be the term. So I'm always craving those little bits and pieces of trying new things, and I get bored really quickly with things too. So I'm always looking for stuff to try and explore. And I think I just reached a point in my life too where I wanted to do everything that I had an interest in. Didn't have to be successful, didn't have to be, reach any numbers or, make any sales or reach a certain amount of people or whatever. But I just wanted to, I always say life is for living. So I just wanted to sort of embody that and try everything. And one of those things on my list was to have my own show. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be fun? And so I started out doing the podcast, and, if you, as you guys know, when you start doing things, you start out a few bumps in the road, but it kind of just took off, and it was really, really fun. And it's been a great ride. We've had some great guests on. I've made some fabulous friendships and some great connections, and we've had some amazing sponsors, and it's just been a really good time. It's built a really nice community and support each other and have fun. And it's been great I love hearing people's stories. So it's been really kind of cool that way to discover different people and what's going on in the community and that.
Yeah,
and meet cool guys like yourself.
Well, that's up for debate.
I'm cool. You not so much.
Yeah, that beard's pretty cool.
I know, right? That's courtesy of the lead singer of Eve of Uprise on Friday night. He sports a mohawk, and it was this color. And after his show was over, I was talking to him, and he looked at me, and he had this can in his hand. He's like, do you want it? I'm like, sure. So he did like half of it. And I'm like, oh, I can't walk around the city with half a red beard. So I went and got a can of the spray and did the rest.
Well, you could have walked around with half a red beard.
No.
Why not?
You keep telling me not to do things half-assed.
And what hue of red exactly?
It's called Wildfire. It's called Wildfire. So you could ask the company that makes it, I guess. It's going to turn pink and then probably orange by the time it's done. But it's a spray instead of I used to use a gel, like you kind of brush it into your beard. But this spray, it gets all over the place. It's really messy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's something.
Nice.
That's right. It is something.
Yeah. It's good. You do it for reasoning. Like you always, are you going to do purple for June?
Yeah.
The plan?
Yes, for ALS.
For ALS. ALS is near and dear to Dog's heart. So he does
Oh yeah.
a purple beard for June. And it's sort of kind of like, it's funny that when we started the podcast, his beard was obviously not as long. And then as the podcast sort of started gaining traction and people were talking about his beard, and I said, "Oh, I guess you'll just never be able to shave it. That's your thing now, you know." And we also have a sponsor that is a beard balm company, like it's called, Bush Beard, which is a very great.
Oh, Bushbeard. Yes, I love Candace and Bushbeard.
Yes.
Yeah. She's amazing. She's such a nice girl and a great little business that she's put together for sure.
Yeah, I love her products.
Yeah, she's awesome, and I think that's how you and I initially met.
Yes.
I think she turned me on to you guys. So yeah, so kudos to Candace. Yeah, she's great. I love her.
Yeah, you interviewed her,
fun.
and then I think we interviewed her after
Yep.
you did, and then after that, it was sort of we realized that we worked at Lone Star at the same time, which is a restaurant that was started in Ottawa, like Tex-Mex place, and it was wild and crazy, and she just was working there, but I really didn't remember her because she was sort of does a lot of catering, and anyways, that's another discussion. But yeah, it was funny how it all kind of worked out. Ottawa is very much a small town feel. I have a lot of family in Toronto, so
Okay.
I know it quite well. But yeah, it's Ottawa is a very small town, 1 million people, but it's a small town.
It's pretty big today, though,
Nice.
with the marathon going on, right, my friend?
Yes, I did the half marathon here in Ottawa. It was something very challenging for me, but I was pleased to finish. And now I'm wearing sock feet because my feet are basically destroyed, Jenny. They're really bad.
What an accomplishment! Good for you. That's great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was sort of
Was that your first one?
first half marathon. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
once you do it, and I'm very athletic in the sense that I like to play sports and I like to compete and stuff, but running was a very challenging mental
Yes.
thing. Like it becomes mental. Like anybody can run, but to run at a certain pace for that period of time is challenging. So it was a good challenge for me, and an amazing day. 11,000 people did the half marathon, and I think 5,000 or 6,000 did the full marathon. And then there was a bunch of people yesterday. It's a huge event, like it's like the Toronto Marathon, but like Ottawa, right? So yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
it was
wow.
really cool. Great for our city.
Great. That's
Great
awesome.
for our city.
I did a half marathon like probably 10 years ago.
Oh wow, nice.
10, 12 years ago. Yeah, and I haven't done one since, so I get it. It's a lot.
Yeah, I don't foresee myself doing another one. I think I'll do a couple 10Ks. I like the 10K because you can it's just a quick hour and a bit or under, and then just that's it. Like I don't want to run it was hot too, so this was a tough one today, but it was all good. I was pleased with the time and everything.
Good.
Nice. I like to do the I don't know if you've heard of them. They're called the Conqueror Challenges. They're sort of a virtual marathon setup, but what you do is you sign up for whatever race you want to do, whether it's a 10K or 25 or however. They have them all the way up to like, I don't know, the really big ones are like 80 or 90 or 100K. It's crazy. And you track your mileage. So you download their app, and then anytime you go for a walk or a run, you track your miles, and then you submit it. And then when you've reached your miles and completed the number of miles that you're to get for that particular medal, then they send you your medal at the end. So that's kind of a fun way to do it. I did a couple of those last couple of years, and that was really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So that would have been pretty good during COVID, right? Like I think everybody kind of had to do everything on their own.
Yeah.
That's maybe where it even came from. I'd like that because I can just go for walks every day.
Yeah, man. You go and get a medal in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Jenny, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I don't know if you knew this. I talk about wrestling.
Yes.
And then
ad nauseum.
Yeah. And like not new wrestling. I don't really get into it, but the old stuff and then of course you interviewed Jake the Snake Roberts.
So yeah, interviewing Jake the Snake was, incredible, amazing.
Okay, so
For the
now she's
first
frozen.
probably 10 minutes, I was just trying not to, like, you know,
Let it
lose
go.
my marbles and cry because
There we go.
it was such an amazing experience. You when you're a kid, you watch these guys on TV and they're larger than life
Yeah.
characters, you
Yeah.
know, and it's so exciting and it's so thrilling, and it's the ambiance of wrestling is all consuming when you're a kid. And for me, watching wrestling when I was a kid, those were the happiest moments for me because I would watch wrestling on the weekends with my papa, and that was like a little bit of our bonding time. And so it was a great childhood memory for me too. And then just chatting with him about he's really has a passion for architecture, and building, and that was interesting to talk about. Talked a little bit about wrestling and some little bits and pieces on addiction, which I wanted to touch on as well too, because I run a mindful based mental health clinic as well during the day full time. So that piece was interesting to me too, and I wanted to touch on that and just hopefully have that be a source of inspiration for people listening or watching as well too.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's nice to know that it's not just the rest. They're not one dimensional, right? They're not just a wrestler. That they do, have other interests. Like finding out that Jake the Snake Roberts was interested in architecture kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, and his story is
Yeah.
so crazy too. Like his upbringing is like he's the worst you've ever heard. One of the worst upbringings you might have heard. So
Yeah, it's really phenomenal how people can overcome those things in their life. I mean, he definitely had some challenges along the way, and he talks quite a bit about those challenges and coming through them. Um, but it's amazing how the strength and the courage it takes to overcome situations like that, and how inspiring that is to other people who may or may not be in similar situations, but just everyone has hardships in life, and just seeing people and seeing people that you grew up watching go through hard things, and seeing, okay, well, they had the fortitude and the courage and the strength and the mind to get through it, and maybe I can use that as a little inspiration for myself to get through the tough days too.
for sure.
So
And Diamond Dallas Page was like that too, right? Like he's got a whole, like he's helping other wrestlers get through stuff.
Well, he's incredible. Period. He's he has a yoga studio.
yeah,
That's
DDP
right.
yoga.
Yeah. And he helped Jake the Snake when he was getting sober. He tried to help Scott Hall, who was Razor Ramon, who was also one of my favorite dudes. But he had a really
He's
bad drinking
incredible.
problem, and then but he's helped the like military, and DDP is like one of the best people alive. Really, I mean, he does a lot for the community that he's in. That's for sure.
He's just a really, really good spirit. He's just a great soul. And he had a later start in his
Yeah.
career in wrestling. Like, he didn't get into it till he was like, what, 35?
Yeah,
I
something
think,
like that.
around there.
Mid
So
30s. Yeah.
yeah, and then for him to accomplish everything that he did in wrestling, starting from a later age, and then to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and just like, and then have a whole totally different life after. Like now he's sort of out of the wrestling, and now he's more into the yoga and helping people out, and it's just like, there's no limit to what you can do in life. Like, you can reinvent yourself time and time again. You can start over as many times as you need to in life. It's really incredible.
Absolutely. Fall down 9 times, get up 10 kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like it's funny when I'm in a clinic setting, and people often talk about feeling like time is running out, and when they reach a certain age they can't do this or they can't do that, and I always use this example, and I say, listen, you could be 50 years old and decide you want to be a doctor. You can go to medical school at 50, graduate when you're 56, 57, practice a few years, you can still retire at 65 and you've still had a whole nother career, and you can still do something after that too. So, there is no age is not a limitation anymore. So I think, again, life is for living. And if you're inspired to do things, get out and do them. Fuck it. Oh, sorry. Can we swear on the show?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, great.
We're not gonna,
Please swear. Speak freely.
yeah. So that means I still have a chance to be a doctor. No.
Yeah, you do. She's not wrong.
I know she's not wrong.
That's
a very good point.
I love the zest for life that you have. Like, your joie de vivre is amazing. It's, like I squeeze a lot into a day. And I'm also in recovery. So that was kind of a touch base with that. Like, I used to be I'm an alcoholic, and it was when that happened that I had my bottom, and then I came out of it. And of course, you have a year where you're kind of figuring things out, and then you kind of come out of it, right? And my joie de vivre is the same thing. Like, work my butt off. I have a family. I have my 2 podcasts. I try and enjoy every day. I try and do something that's something that comes up every day, and I'm not like saying it because I'm just saying it to be inspirational in the sense that you're giving me this, so it's like so amazing that I can speak that way as well, because it is so important to whenever I hear something like I can't do that, or I'm not interested, like I'm not able to do this, but you are able to do this. You're just choosing not to, and that's fine. I don't judge, but I also eventually sort of separate from you, because you need to show me something too at times, right? Because you don't have time. Like, I want to be around people that are interested in filling their days.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to have days when you don't feel like doing shit, and that happens to everybody. And, we all have those days, or a couple of days where we're just like, don't want to do anything, just feel lazy or not unmotivated and whatever. And that's okay. But you have to have that push to get up and keep moving forward, because it's surprising what the body and the brain can do when pushed and forced and motivated to do something. Exactly. So yeah. And good for you for getting on that healing journey. Good for you. What was the one thing that really helped you the most, do you think? I know when we were talking about addiction with Jake the Snake, I know one of the things that he said was really helpful for him was the 90 meetings in 90 days kind of thing.
That was huge for me. I also lost my license, so I had to take the bus, which was very humbling at 35 years old. Yeah. And so I did my 90 meetings in 90 days, and it was you feel like the worst person alive. Like, you feel so deflated, or you let everybody down and you let yourself down, and but then you kind of just keep showing up and going to a meeting every day. Sometimes I went to 2. I also I lost a job, I lost my license, I had things that happened that because of drinking, and once I finished that and got to those meetings and met those amazing people in those meetings, I mean, they're just like, you think you're the worst, but there's worse stories. However, it's such a, I don't know, it's therapeutic, to be honest. Like, I think that whenever I feel like something's going on in my life, that I go to a meeting, because it's just like, it's almost like free therapy for me, because it's wonderful to be in that room and to be able to give back and go back to where you were like a couple of years ago, So yeah, it was definitely the 90. Same with as Jake the Snake. 90 meetings in 90 days, and then you kind of get out of it, for sure.
Yeah, good for you. And what a gift to give to your friends and family too. Not just for yourself to recognize that you needed help and to get back on that healing journey, but to take that courage and to be so brave as to want to do better for those around you. That's shows a lot of love and respect for the people in your life. So good for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got, Dawg?
Well, after that, I got nothing.
Yeah, I know it gets a little. Well, I mean, it's also it's a good thing.
No, it's a very good thing.
Right. It's
And
like a smiley, makes me smile now. Like, it's like, holy shit. Like, I talk about my drinking stories as I laugh sometimes, but it's like, yeah, like even with a story with Dawg, like on his birthday is in July. And every year we used to go to Alexandria Bay, and we played a 3-day golf event with a bunch of guys, and it was
Mhm.
a big gong show, really. And Dave's birthday always happened to land around that time, so we I go to the bar with this guy, and he doesn't really drink anymore either, but no, he's not in recovery, but
no,
we went out, and I said, I'm gonna drink you under the table. And he said, okay, try. And then I kept ordering shooters after shooter after shooter. And he's walking me back to my hotel room because I'm mangled. And he's just sort of like, okay, like, and I'm like, you jerk. Like, I didn't know you could put them away like that. He was just like, yeah, whatever.
It was just one of those times, it's just like sometimes when you're just drinking, you drink. Like some nights I could have 3 beers and be hammered. And then there's other nights like this one, it was just, it was nonstop. And then you were like, green the next day. You were so sick looking when you
I threw up on the golf course.
I know. It was just
it was a great day.
It was a great day.
Really enjoyed that day. It's certainly one thing I do not miss is the hangover, for sure. So it's like not a thing for me.
Yeah. And did you change like anything else in your environment, like your eating habits, your exercise, and did you change any of that
for sure,
too?
For sure. Everything goes with the other, right? It's I went to the gym all the time, and I just started working on myself. I was journaling, I was reading more, I was really focusing on my mental health, and with physical activity and journaling, and also enjoying, like just getting out with, my dog. And I've been with the same girl since then. She's known me drunk, and she's known me sober. So, so I was lucky that I had her, because she stayed with me and stayed together with me. And cause I could have lost her as well, but that was one thing I did keep. And then I focused on that relationship really hard for forever since then.
Nice.
And, definitely changed the whole mentality. It changed your days are, you start thinking that their mantra is 24, one day at a time, 24 hours, my next 24 hours. Mm-hmm. You really kind of go with that mantra, because really, and I did lose a brother long ago in a freak accident. So like you're just never promised anything. Right. So definitely changed my whole lifestyle and how I focused on different things.
That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, we're interviewing you, but geez, this is great. I feel good. Yeah. But you're such a good interviewer that it's easy to chat with you, and you do very well at this, bringing it out of people. So, is there?
Well, thank you. If I'm overstepping, just tell me to shut the fuck up, because I'm always so interested in people's stories, and I really do appreciate you having me on the show, because I want to say this, because I very seldom am a guest, and so it's very the switch is it feels weird to me. I'm trying to work on being a good guest too, like not just a good host, because I always feel like if I'm a guest on a show, I'm like, was that okay? Did I talk? Like I'm so critical of it, and it's just I'm trying to improve my guest skills.
Yeah. No, well, again, it's great to know you're being a great guest. We're just having a little discussion. Right?
That's right.
Yeah. Is there someone that you've interviewed that really kind of blew your mind?
Blew my mind.
Maybe some of
I will say that not to sound like a bit of a sycophant, but I love every guest, and I have fun with them all. But probably Jake the Snake blew my mind in terms of the overall experience. And just having him on the show was just great. So many. I don't know. I don't know. There's just I've developed such great friendships too with some of the guests and some of the people I've had on my show. Recently, I had the Widowmaker boys are always great. Love them. Love those guys. Darren's always great host and co-host, and everyone's just really, really great. I haven't had one show that I've been like, oh, that fucking sucked. Might not want to air that one.
What happened to my show? Technical issues. Sorry.
We're away this week.
Yeah.
We're on holiday.
There's nothing worse. Like, the fear is always like, okay, you have a guest on that just doesn't talk, right? And that's the fear. You're gonna be like, oh, like, okay, pulling teeth or whatever. But no, knock on wood, I haven't had that. So every show has been fun, and they're all so different. Like, I had a little girl on, Bella, a couple weeks ago, which that show will air soon, and just talking to her and her mom. Bella's got some pretty heavy duty medical issues, but she's such a inspirational little girl. You cannot be in a bad mood when you watch any of her videos or any of her content. And to think that this little 5, 6-year-old, 7-year-old girl is just inspiring grown-ass adults. It's crazy. It really makes you think. Like you say, you look at the days different, and you think, some people are, going around thinking that, it's the worst day of their life because they didn't get the right almond milk in their fucking latte. And it's like, like, there's more to life than, so all the shows have been really great, and it's been really fun. I mean, I don't know how long I'll do it for. Like I said, we're on season 4 now, and we'll see what happens. I have no game plan as to what's going to happen for it. I just kind of go with the flow with it, and but it's been fun.
Now, do you do one every day, or is it like, because we only do one once a week? So I feel like we're not slacking.
We're not doing more than one a week.
No, we're not. I know we're not.
I had a schedule when I first started for the first couple of seasons. It was 1 to 2 days a week, 1 to 2 shows a week that I would post. And then it went to once a week. And I was at once a week for quite a long time. And it's only recently that I just stepped back a little bit. And I try to put out one every week or every other week. But sometimes life happens and you don't get around to it. And so I try not to pressure myself too much anymore about that, because I want it to stay fun. I don't want it to be, a career, a job. Yeah.
No, I think that's the key, right? Like, having, and it comes through because you're not there's, you're regimented in probably the way that you structure the show, but realistically it's just a happy discussion, like even our show, usually we deal with musicians. So, they're very artsy and they're like, they really want to talk about what their craft is. And that's all, like, we just sort of sit here and like ask, what got you started in guitar? But it's just more like, people think, you think in your mind, I think it's like, are we asking stupid questions? Like, are we asking simple questions? And then the simplest questions bring out the best answers, right? It's like, if you just give the guy a layup, he's going to like, or the girl, we had Amanda Rayom on, who was she's just one of my favorite people on earth, and beautiful musician. Anyways, so she saw that we were nervous, and especially Dawg.
Yeah, me.
She's friends. I've been friends with her for a long time, but and I'm still I was still nervous to interview her, but Dawg was, and he, just as he was about to press the button, she sort of said, "Don't touch that," and then she sort of like relaxed the whole conversation. It was just one of those things. So I think going back is, you're right. We're just trying to have an enjoyable conversation. Like, obviously for us, I would love for this to be my only job, but that it's not a job. It's more of this is our art, right? This is the way we, like you said at the beginning, this is the way we kind of let our our voices out artistically, you know, and our love of music and our love of, you know, great people to discuss with. Right. So yeah, I love that answer. Thank you.
And you guys are both magicians.
Yeah,
and magicians.
No, I'm a really
musicians
sick
too. You guys do a lot of
magician.
magic shows on the weekend.
I can easily make people disappear. I can start talking.
Yeah, Dog has this uncanny.
We all got
ability.
friends in low places.
Yeah, no, we're not actually. I play guitar a little, and the harmonica a little, and Dog doesn't. But Dog is a DJ.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
so we definitely have a passion for music, and Dog knows like that's why we kind of started the podcast. Was like, you know, I love music, and so does Dog. But Dog knows everything about his lane of music anyway, like his '80s and his soul and his, you know. Whereas I'm like I'm '90s and 2000s, and you know, like and it's.
I have a special love for 80s music. I can't. It really was I don't know if you would agree, Dog, but it was really the best era ever for
there's
music.
The answer to our usual question.
So we don't even have to ask the question.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Usually we ask everybody 80s or 90s, and obviously that's your answer, right?
80s is just something about the 80s. It was just so cool. It felt like the era where it was the last era where people really wrote songs as a craft. Like the lyrics where people were putting some time in to write songs with meaning, and you know, it was just a different vibe. It was just sort of a freedom of expression and creativity, and just really, I mean, like I can remember as a kid just listening, like within the span of an hour, I could be listening to Michael Jackson, Madonna, Depeche Mode, Led Zeppelin, Lionel Richie, Barry Manilow, you know, all within, you know, an hour and a half. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I get the Michael Jackson thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I loved Michael Jackson as a kid. I moonwalked. I did it all. Yeah. But let me just go here, okay?
Here we go.
To say that Kurt Cobain and Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder didn't write nice lyrics, Jenny, we might have a discussion, okay?
Uh-oh.
No, you are correct about that. There was, I mean, Pearl Jam's great. Like it just, you know, yeah. No, there was some good stuff in the. There was some good stuff in the 90s. There was a good stuff in the 90s, but just the 80s was just, you know, getting back to the magician thing again. Just 80s was just magical. I don't know. Just something about it.
Dog,
yeah,
I agree. There's some magic. There's some.
It's
whimsy for sure.
It's the same with every era. There's great stuff. There's some great songwriting in the 50s, 60s, 70s. Like it's every era has great songwriting, but they also have crap.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And every
80s has the most crap.
No.
Tears for Fears.
It don't.
You know, and you said Depeche Mode too. You had my heart.
Then again,
I love them so much.
You can throw at other things. Like you can throw at a whole bunch of one-hit wonders from the 80s, and you know that's crap. But I mean, it's the same in the 90s. It was the same in the 70s. It was the same in the 60s. So it's
true.
You know, but I don't know.
I want to hold your hand. No, I'm not down with that song.
Well, that's not one of their better ones.
No,
but,
exactly.
I mean, they had some.
Oh, the Beatles.
Fromage.
Beatles had a bit of.
They had some
good stuff. Some. Yeah.
Beatles.
Had a couple
great,
good tunes.
Great music.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just. But I could just do without the fashion from the 80s. I just shake my head at some of the stuff I wore.
Yeah.
Back then.
Did you have big fluffy hair too back then?
Oh yeah. I had the hair going. I had the rugby pants. Like it's just the the bright colors. And
I love big hair. Big hair has my heart.
Well, it's the big joke in the 80s, right? It's like where, you know, the hair and the makeup, and that was just the guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Boy George.
Well, I mean, like Poison and like the groups there, and it's just like they're prettier than girls.
Well, even like remember in the Chappelle show, where Charlie Murphy was explaining about how they had this new guitarist in the Revolution band, Prince's band, and she's hot, and he was like, "That's a man, dude." Like, you know, Mickey Free was the name, I think. And it was like,
Flock of
Seagulls. Exactly.
That was the best hair in the 80s right there. Their lead singer with that hair, that was just
he
awesome.
was a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Right?
That was his.
Was he really?
Yeah. So I think he did the hair for all the band, but that was crazy. That remember the Friends episode with.
I recently, a friend just played some really old Prince. Like and I know I'm going to get some flack for this. I'm not a mega huge 10 out of 10 Prince fan. Okay. I
Easy,
like
Gus.
Prince. Don't come
Easy.
for me.
I
Don't come
won't,
for
I
me.
won't, I
I
won't.
like Prince. He's great. Phenomenal. I'm not rushing out to buy the album, but but I think they always overplay, 2 or 3 of his songs on the radio. It's always the same songs and they always overplay them.
I agree.
And yeah, and so and I hadn't heard like from his Purple Rain album some of his older stuff, like some of the songs that weren't played on the radio, and I could see why now. But I had just had a friend to play them now, and I was listening to them and was like, "What did he say?" It's very sexualized
Like
lyrics.
Darling
They're
Nikki is
just
a very
He's a
sexual
very
song.
sexual
Nick,
guy.
yes!
He was a
Darling
sexual
Nikki.
guy.
That's the one. That's the
Yeah,
one
that's
I
what I
heard,
figured.
and then another one about
Yep.
yeah.
That was the basis of a lot of his stuff. Yeah,
No, it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
it
Although
was
it once
intense.
the if you hear Prince's when he came back as the Symbol, like that album is phenomenal. That's a really good album.
Yep.
I agree though. Some of it is fluffy, but that was the time. And I mean, speaking like Morris Day in the time, like there was kind of like those big bands, but you can't deny Prince's skill on the guitar, and you can't deny some of his tunes were
Phenomenal.
like
not only the guitar,
rocking, man.
like every instrument that he played.
Yeah, he played all the instruments on the album.
Yeah.
And then he had the Revolution that he toured with. But and I'm a huge Prince fan, so I get your point though. But some of those songs are just like, what is this, Darling Nikki?
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
a great tune.
it is a good tune. It's just such an
Yes.
interesting album. Like it's like very 80s, very like like early 80s. Like kind of still grungy and grimy.
Yeah.
The big thing in the 80s was the drum machines too, right?
That's right. Yeah,
You can tell in 80s songs once you hear that drum, that's not a real drum. That's a drum machine.
that's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
You guys just did a live about
we did.
Tina Turner too, right? I didn't catch the whole live. I just saw a little at the beginning of it. You were going live to talk about it, but what a legend! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that thing that you just sent us to I reposted it into our story, but the guy that you sent,
Isn't that
he's
guy
funny.
hilarious?
Oh my god, I watched just a couple of videos.
He does the best Denzel.
Does he
ever,
really? Oh, because
ever.
that's like my favorite dude.
Yeah.
He's my favorite actor for sure.
Yeah. But Tina Turner's career is just incredible. Like
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about how you can reinvent yourself at any time, right? Like we saw David Bowie do it a bunch of times, but what Tina Turner went through as a mother and as being abused by Ike and then having no money and then reinventing herself to be the biggest star in the 80s. Like speaking of the 80s, she was like the biggest star in the 80s, I think. Maybe the biggest female star, but definitely one of the biggest stars, because she sold out every arena and everywhere. And just, and then all of a sudden finishes her music career and you don't hear from her for 20 years until she dies. Cause it's like, and then of course that story that they did the documentary on her, which was amazing. And my mom was a huge Tina Turner fan, and I had listened to it obviously because she dressed like her for Halloween one year or whatever it was, teased the hair up and everything. Anyways, it was a big loss. She just her impact and her for all these young artists that came up after her and just showing the ability to reinvent yourself. I think it's such a powerful thing. Like just having that, like again, having the joie de vivre to say, forget it. I'm just going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and she was super huge in Europe, like more so. I mean, we think of her as being a big deal over here in North America, but she was 10 times more popular in Europe, and so that's incredible too. Because I think I don't know, but I think there's this perception that if you're a star or a number one recording artist, we kind of forget that there's other places in the world other than Canada and the U.S.
There is.
It's true. Yeah.
And at least like
I
do. At least
you do,
what I mean?
yeah. I
Like,
find I do that sometimes too. But then,
there's so many Canadians that are like a big deal in like Japan or Korea, and they come here, and I'm like, who are you? But they're like famous over there.
proper famous.
Yeah.
I agree. It's she retired, I think, in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, or her husband's Swiss.
Yeah. So yeah, but she was you like you said, like sold out Wembley Stadium. Like that's like 100,000 people.
Yeah.
You know, wild stuff.
The crazy story.
Has anybody else done that?
Queen,
and
Cher?
I think Ed
Maybe
Sheeran
Cher?
did it before too, but he's from there. He's from like Wembley, so. But we're not.
Yeah. Good for him on winning his case recently. Bravo.
Yeah, no, I'm glad he did because he is a talented artist, that's for sure. So I wouldn't suspect that that'd be somebody that would do any plagiarizing whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, it gets to a point where like we've heard so much music in our lives that something is going to sound like something else, right? Like you can't get past that. Like even the intros to songs now, it's like, well, yeah, it's this song. Oh no, it's not. It's this one.
Mm-hmm.
So my buddy Murph does that to his wife all the
absolutely.
time. He'll play a song. He plays "Daddy Cool" by Boney M.
Oh yeah,
and that intro is a lot like another song that she gets confused with all the time. So I can see where it's coming from.
There's only so many notes
and chords, So yeah, it could happen. It could happen. It should happen a lot more than it does.
That's true. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think his big takeaway was, you can reuse chords, but you can't plagiarize lyrics. And I think that's the big discrepancy there, is because you're right. There's only so many chords you can use. And, when he did that riff where he just combined all those songs together, in the trial, and it was just kind of just was a standalone, proved his point right there.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing, actually. He just sort of said, okay, I'll just show you. And then,
yeah.
But you're right. It's, people, lyrics are what people are drawn to. Obviously there's a beat that everybody enjoys, but then I don't know, for me personally, it's usually I listen to the lyrics and just sort of hear where they're coming from. And, he is one of those lyricists that actually can, I think he could probably be in any era. Like he's like sort of one of those guys. He is poppy for me, but he's certainly a talented guy. That's for sure.
They just played on.
Yeah, definitely. And we already established that the lyrics in the 80s were better than
we already did.
Thankfully, we did this. We definitely established that. Yeah,
we sure did.
Thank God we don't have to talk about that anymore. Is there like a dream guest for you?
Besides us, of course.
So if I had to pick just one, no, there's so many. I'd love to have top five. Okay. I'd love to have Scott Thompson on the show. Carrot Top.
Wow.
I'd love to have.
I love that.
Yeah. He's a great storyteller. He's got some great stories.
He might be funny too if you try.
Super funny. I remember watching him as a kid and just thinking he was hilarious. Like, it was like, watch this guy pull all these props out of his trunk, and I'm like, and I'm cracking up. I'm like, is nobody else picking up on this? This guy's hilarious. Like,
no, you're like the only one laughing. Yeah, I was there too. I liked it.
Hulk Hogan, I'd love to have on the show.
Terry Hogan.
Jordan Peterson, would love to interview him for, have him on the Clinic podcast. That'd be awesome.
I love Jordan Peterson. He's got such a bad name right now, but it's not fair. I think he's just a solid individual. I don't know.
No, I think people misunderstand a lot of what he's saying, and I don't think I think he's voicing his own opinions for what's right for him, and not feeling that he should be forced to say or not say certain things. But I've never heard him speak ill of someone in terms of how they should express themselves. I think his point is just, and I don't want to speak for him, but the feeling that I get is that if you want to call yourself a tree, go fucking right ahead. Just, I'll shake your branch, not a problem. But I don't have to be forced to change my language and my ideals and my, this, that, and the other to suit someone else. So someone else is happy and not offended because, maybe you're offending me, and maybe we can just coexist happily on our own
volition. Yeah.
No,
that's a good point.
But I mean, not to get too political.
It's not. But he's not political. He's. You're right. It is a political matter, but it is. I think that people are afraid to offend, and the fact that he's saying something that offends people doesn't mean that he shouldn't say it. Being offended is subjective. So yeah, so if you're offended, I understand, but you'll just have to deal with it. You can't like push anything else on you. But I like his I think that men and in some cases are kind of left behind in this, like mental health is not really talked about, and suicide, and he talks a lot about young men and how they have to what they have to go through to become a man and a proper man and be a good parent or be whatever, and that's what I like about him. I don't think that he's trying to promote masculinity and all this. I think he's just sort of talking about
No, I don't think that at all. No.
Interesting. Yeah.
No.
Who's number 4?
Yeah. Let's see who else. I'd love Tony Danza. Oh my gosh.
Wow, who's the boss?
Yes.
I think he'd be an interesting guy.
I think I would just sit there like this the whole show. Just sharing him.
You could sing to him. Hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Oh,
hold me closer.
I did it.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah.
Because it was funny.
And probably just some maybe some lesser known people. There's a lady that I follow who I really like, Dominique Saxa. She used to be a TV anchor. She's retired now, but she has her own podcast and whatever. And I just think she's like a super classy lady. I would love to have her on the Clinic podcast. And another lady I follow called At Home with Nikki Boyd. She does some really great stuff, like organizational stuff and home reno stuff. And I followed her for a while, and I love the stuff that she does. So just, but there's so many. Like if I didn't mention you, I still want you to be on the show. Just okay.
We'll come on.
There's so many. I'd love to have you guys on the show. You guys are up next.
Make the top 5.
You guys are up next.
That's okay. She said she wanted to have us on the show.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to beat Tony Danza, bro.
I'll beat him up.
Okay, here's the deal. It'll be Dawg, Gus, and Tony Danza on the show.
Yes.
And then we'll have a
trifecta.
There we go. I'm sure he'd love to hear from us.
I've sent him.
What about you? What about you guys? Who's your guest goals?
Okay,
we're gonna go Lofty.
Yeah, we have to go Lofty.
Let's go Lofty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Do they have to be alive?
Well, I mean, it's hard to interview somebody who's dead.
Touche.
It might be easier to get them to connect to the
Riverside
Riverside
now.
True.
I mean, this Riverside program is good, but
I would love to have Eddie Vedder on the show.
There you go.
I think he would be so interesting.
All right, I would go Steve Earle.
Yeah, great choice.
Yeah, because we both love Steve Earle. I'd love to sit down and chat with him.
You want to talk about political? That guy's going to get political.
Oh no, he won't. We'll just talk about music.
Yeah. And,
nice.
You think? I think I'd love to have Dave Chappelle on the show.
Oh, would that be a hoot or what?
Oh my God, he's amazing, isn't he?
By far.
He is like a surgeon with comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He is so tactful, and you hear him and he's funny and you're laughing through it. And just when you think you know where he's going to go, he brings it right back around to the very beginning. And then there's a lesson at the end.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm like, you're a fucking genius.
He really is. That's why he gets 50 schmil every time he puts something out, right? But like, no, like it's like him and Eddie. Say Eddie Murphy would be pretty cool too. But like having that skill to manipulate the discussion, and he's got you in the palm of his hand, and then he comes all the way back to the beginning and then ties up the whole story. And like you said, there's a lesson at the end. I think that was a great way to put it, actually. It's like, he's just amazing. Yeah. Chappelle for sure.
Yeah. I'd like to really have on Jerry Mercer from April Wine, because I spoke with him.
Yep.
It was coming, you knew it.
Yeah.
But he's such a genuine guy. He's just like, he's a guy, like you go into a bar and sit there and you can just talk to him all day. And he's so, like, he was in one of the biggest bands, in my opinion, a Canadian band ever. Like one of the biggest.
Yep. Top 5.
And you would never know it talking to the man. He's just so like, yeah, we did that, and we did this, and yeah, we did that. It's just
True.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think that they're still human beings, and sometimes they get bigger heads than they should. But
Yeah.
I think that the people that we've mentioned would be fairly down to earth. And then I'd love to have. I just had the tip of my tongue, but it'll come to me. I
Okay.
don't remember.
Oh well.
Where are you guys on the jelly roll scene? Because I love me some
He's
jelly
awesome.
roll. I've been listening to Jelly Roll since like before he was really kind of famous. And I don't know, something about the guy, like just it's like rooting for the underdog, and he he's coming up, and you're just so fucking excited for him, and he's got some great music too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like him. I like him too.
It's fun because he's just like a regular dude. You know what I mean? He's not.
Yep.
He's not a PR produced individual that's beautiful and like I'm not saying he's I mean
he's ugly. It's okay.
And no, but I'm just saying he's not.
Just kidding.
He's
That's
not
terrible.
He's not a cookie cutter type.
He's not your typical
No,
cookie
and
cutter
it's awesome,
movie star. Yeah, which is also I think makes him more
Yes,
endearing.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, he's married to smoking hot babe. Like we all want to look like her, right?
Who's he married to?
I don't know, Gus, if you want to look like her, but I don't know. Sometimes I want to.
Gus would.
Yeah, I kind of I'm vain for sure. Who's he married to?
I'm not sure what her name is, but she's. I've seen pictures. Like I've seen her. I saw her on the CMA. She's a very good looking woman.
Yeah, she goes by Bunny on her Instagram. I don't know what her real name is, but it's Bunny XO.
I'll check it out. I probably want to look like her for sure.
Yeah, you would.
Good jaw. Like, does she have a good jawline like me, or is it like more?
She's got all the good bits and pieces. I mean, everything that every woman probably wants to pay for to get. Yeah. But she has her own podcast. Yeah.
There you go.
They have an interesting relationship. I'm not sure that would be for me, but they, it works for them, and they're like, it's so great to see them supporting each other and how close they are, and just cool. Yeah.
There you go.
Do you listen to a lot of other podcasts? Do you listen to a lot of other podcasts?
I do. I listen to I like Joe Rogan. I listen to a lot of his stuff. Anytime the boys put out an episode, Widowmaker Boys, gotta listen to that. They always have great episodes. I don't know if you listen to their podcast.
I gotta check them out though. So you're not the first person.
Gotta get on it. It's funny. It's funny. You guys have a great podcast. Divorced and Done has a great podcast. Who else do I listen to? Who is on? Well, let me just pull up my Spotify list. I don't know if you like crime stuff, but the last podcast on the left.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh!
I listened to. There was an
really
Australian one that I listened to a while back that just never really tied anything up. It was the teacher's pet. It was called. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, it was a true story. It was like an Aussie teacher who ended up marrying one of his students, and then
a dingo ate my
baby. Exactly. Yeah. I think Elaine makes a surprise appearance and does that part. For those that don't know what that is, that's a Seinfeld reference. Anyways,
thanks.
You all know, we have a young following,
We do.
And so
the original reference is even older.
Oh yeah, what is it from before?
Meryl Streep.
Oh,
Meryl
okay.
Streep. I think was it Out of Africa? No. I don't remember the name of the movie, but
Out of Africa was a movie.
Meryl Streep.
I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it would make sense that the dingo would be in that conversation,
right?
Anyways, what I said was irrelevant about the teacher's pet, but I do like some crime stuff, but sometimes it's like, tie it up already, like, come on, let's go. Yeah. What to the left?
There's a few other little ones that I like too. Last podcast on the left. Yeah, that one's. I'll send you the link to that one. But yeah, there's a few other ones that I really like listening to. But the thing with those, some of them is that they have too many ads in them. And say for like a half-hour episode, there's like 2 or 3 different ads. So you really only get like 10, 12 minutes of the conversation. And it's like, I want to hear more. I'm interested in, what you're talking about. I don't want to hear just all ads
True,
and stuff. So, yeah. So I tend to like the podcasts that are a little bit longer and then have the ads that are minimal ads. Or for mine, I put the commercial right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's only
That makes
one.
sense.
Yeah. And I do that right at the very beginning. And it's usually only about 30 seconds, if that.
Maybe we should do that, though.
But yeah.
Whatever you want. You can do that for sure.
Yeah, it might make more sense.
Yeah. And I try to make them funny.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We did one for Bushbeard. It was because I was trying to get Dog to get something funny, but he's got challenges with that. I'm just kidding.
I'm not a funny guy.
You're funny. Yeah. Oh, Jocko Willink. That's the one I want to have on my show. Jocko is like the man.
Who?
So Jocko Willink is, if you ever want to be motivated, just listen to him for 10 minutes. Right. But he has like this crazy, like his podcast, like you like long podcasts and I do too. I love Joe Rogan and, but sometimes his are 4 hours and it's like, okay, like that's craziness. He talked to, like the FBI, Chris Voss, and that was like 4 hours. He'd be an interesting guy to talk to too. But Jocko, for me, like, so he was a Navy SEAL. Okay. And he's the guy that I don't know if you've ever seen on your Instagram feed. Sometimes it'll show up where it's his watch and it's like 4 a.m. and he's saying get after it or whatever. And it's like he's working out at 4:30 in the morning. Anyways, he's just very motivational and speaks very well. He's an excellent speaker and very nice. Attention grabbing. I just love that kind of stuff. Somebody who has a great presence.
Yeah. So he talks good.
He's a good talker. He talks good. Yeah.
Talks good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's, I think that would be my fifth guy. Yeah.
Nice.
So with obviously we discussed how you don't know where it's going to go with your podcast, but you have multiple, right? You have the clinic and then you have the, Wake Up with Jenny and Friends. Wake up, you know what I'm saying? Jenny and Wake Up.
Yeah. Jenny's got friends. Some of them don't show up. Yeah.
Jenny got friends.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
Derailed.
Yeah, derailed the whole thing. But do you have so you have 2 podcasts, or do you have another one?
Yeah, I started them both at the same time, and then I got so consumed with seeing clients at the clinic that I kind of focused on, and I don't post as much on that social media, on that Instagram. Just because those hours are filled with seeing clients. And so when I'm done that portion, then my focus sort of switches to putting more time into the show for Wake Up with Jenny and Friends. But the clinic podcast will be starting up again in June. So in a few days.
Are you ready?
And they're going to be shorter episodes, but more geared towards mental health and mindfulness. A few guests I'll have on there too. But yeah, that'll be fun too. But just a little bit more, not clinic focused, but more helpful information, mindfulness, all that kind of stuff.
I'll definitely check that out because I love that stuff.
I like to focus on men's mental health as well too. I know you mentioned that earlier, that there's not enough really sort of a presence there, and I agree. In terms of social media and putting it out there, so I like to focus on that too. But that'll be fun.
Definitely, I'll check that out. I love mindfulness too. It's important. Got to be in the right clear mind.
Yeah, and I'll incorporate a lot of like nutrition and stuff from my previous life and pre-med stuff. So hopefully those tips and tricks will be helpful for people.
Sure. Are you a doctor?
I started in pre-med. Okay. Yeah, started out in pre-med and been all over the place.
I think that's why we get along. I've done every job. I never was pre-med. I wanted to be a lawyer at one point.
But you could be.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Good point. Actually, no interest in that. I don't like Megan, my partner, loves biology. I hate biology.
Okay, so
I could be a chemist. I can be. I like chemistry and physics. I didn't like cutting open stuff.
Yeah, so no doctor for you.
Well, you could be a chemist.
Oh,
Doctor of chemistry,
chemistry.
or if I could be a dentist.
You could be a musical chemist and dissect songs. Oh, okay. No. All right.
And
that's it for us. We're pretty close actually, but yeah, like that's great. I love that. I love that your message too, where you fill your day and you're just like, just like you find time, right? Are you the type of person if somebody asks you to do something, you say yes, no matter what? Yeah,
usually,
like I have to. You'll find the time or whatever. I'll do that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, usually I like to just keep busy, and I'm at I don't know if you guys find this too, because I think we're probably around the same age-ish. Where you reach a point where you just
I'm very old, yeah.
But don't you and I probably are.
You feel like you've seen it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like things are starting to recycle. Like things will come up and they'll be like, oh, this is the new thing, and you're like, yeah, I was doing that 20 years ago. Like next week, oh, kale is the next big thing. Yeah, fuck off with the kale. We've done the kale thing. Like
I hate kale. It tastes like friggin' mosquito repellent.
Yeah, it's not.
I'm not down with kale.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, like stuff's starting to recycle, and it's. I haven't seen really, I like things that spark my interest because I feel like I've seen a lot of it all before, and, nothing's really new. And so when I try to be a yes person, because when things are interesting or there's something new that I can learn, I'm interested in that. I'm drawn to that. Just because stuff gets boring after a while. You gotta find new things to keep your mind active and be inspired about. And you never know. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Working Girl, but there's a great line in that movie where Melanie Griffith is talking to this secretary who's trying to plan the party, and she makes a suggestion, and the girl says to Melanie Griffith, oh, you read W? And Melanie Griffith says, well, I read a lot of things. You never know where the big ideas could come from. Sure. So I like that thought process. Like, it's good to say yes to a lot of different things because you never know what you can be inspired from, and might spark some ideas, and then you start a new business, or you start a new life, or you start a new thing, or whatever.
That's such a good. That's a good point. It's you keeping your ears and eyes open are so important. Sometimes keeping your mouth shut is better too. To just sort of let the people tell you what you want to hear, and then you can kind of take it on your own way. And I think that's because of our, like you said, our age. We came from growing up without cell phones and without, worrying about posting something or whatever. Like we went out until the sun went down and the lights went on, and we were riding our bikes home. Right. It was just sort of,
yes,
we benefit from being that last generation of, are you Gen Xer? Is that like, are you like me? I'm a Gen X.
I mean, I don't want to reel too much, but like,
well, where do you live again? No, I'm just kidding.
And your SIN number is?
Could you just tell the world what your SIN number is, please? You don't have to reveal too much, but I'm a Gen Xer, and I find that I was like the last generation that I think if we lost everything technologically, I'd be fine. I'd figure
we'd still be okay.
I'd figure it out.
Yeah, we could cook some pasta and wipe our own ass.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually, maybe not at the same time, but it could, it might be interesting. If you have a small enough apartment, then you could probably pull it off. Yeah, like dogs.
I could.
Yeah. Dog lives in a very cozy, but the best neighborhood, honestly. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. So exactly. It's sort of the fact that some people are like, look, the Air Jordans are still the number one selling, and I was like, dude, I'm wearing Jordans right now that I've had since like 95, so like go away with the Jordans, like they were.
Did you see the
we started
movie
it. I'm really excited to finish it though. Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, I won't tell you anything because I don't want to spoil it, but you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
love it.
I've already watched it.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love Ben and I
So
love
good.
Matt, and like Ben Affleck to me is like
Yeah.
one of my favorite directors, and like acting
Yeah.
sort of, but directing, I find his directing is quite good. He's usually in those movies, but like The Town, or like he did what was the one where they remade the Iranian. It was
Yes.
the whole Canadian. They went to the Canadian
Yes.
embassy, and
Oh,
yes,
Argo?
yes,
Yeah, that was a great
excellent.
movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was so good in that, and such a great great directing
Yeah.
job too. Anyways, he should have won. They won. I think they won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, but he should have won Best Director. I mean, that was the other thing. But anyways, yeah.
Mhm. He was good in the movie. Was it Gone
Yes.
Girl or
Yes. Gone Girl.
Yeah, where he played the husband of the lady who
Disappeared.
She was insane.
is that the
Yeah.
one?
Yep.
That's a true story, eh?
No, really? Because it's from the book,
Yes.
but is the book true story?
It's a true story now. I don't know if it was a true story before the movie, but it was. Yeah, if you look it up, there's a lady who, like, literally copy for copy did the same thing, and her husband thought she was missing, and they did the whole thing, and
Wow.
yeah, it faked her own. Yes.
So she just like used that
bananas.
blueprint and just figured it out.
I don't know what came first.
Was she also
yeah.
like gay and like because that was what I think that actress was.
That was
I
part
think
of
so.
it.
I think so.
I don't know. I
Not
just
that
saw it
matters.
on.
I was just sort of
I saw it
wondering.
on the news.
Why she did it, but usually there's a reason. But wow, that's crazy. I have to look that up after.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah. Bananas and pajamas.
Bananas in pajamas.
It is bananas in pajamas.
What's next for you guys? What do you hope to do with the podcast? What's your goal for the podcast? Where do you see it?
Well, for me, and Dawg can attest for himself, but I love where our podcast is headed because it seems like it's opening doors to the Ottawa music community and we didn't realize how big it was and how many great artists there are here. For me, I'd love to expand it to like interviewing different artists across the country. We've talked to some bands from Winnipeg, and we're going to, once we figure this out, thank you for being our muse on our first trying this way of doing a podcast. But once we get that kind of sorted out, it will allow for us to, approach different people and try and see if they'll come on the show with us and chat about their music and chat about their life. And we'll take on any artists too. Like I'd love to speak to other podcasters, like that would be great, or actors, or if comedians would be a lovely thing for me to. I'd love to talk to some comedians. They're all crazy, but I love talking. One of my best friends is Casey Corbin. He has a podcast called Talk and Wrestling. He's lived in Toronto, and
Nice.
he started in comedy when I went to Humber College in Toronto, and then he stayed and obviously evolved into a headliner, and it goes across Canada all the time. But I'd love to see it expand countrywide, and while still allowing us to promote Ottawa artists to become countrywide, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
I agree with what Gus said. I would love to get some of the bands that we've had on the show and get them more exposure because we've got some amazing talent in this city, and we're just finding more and more every time we talk to people.
Yeah.
Like I go out to the shows, like I went to a show last night for a band we had on, and they were incredible. And the band that played before them, we've never spoken to, and I want to have them on the show. They've been around for a while. They're called the Lionels, and they are amazing. And I just kind of want to keep going with that as well. And if we branch out, great. And it just seems like that's the way it's focused and that's the way it's going. And we'll just keep on this ride as long as we can. Yeah.
Ride the wave. Yeah. It's like you said, like, just ride the wave, enjoy it. Like, see where it comes. And we know there's no deadline of when this ends. I just think that we'll keep going until we don't want to go anymore.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's still, we're in our second season, and it's very exciting for us. And we enjoy chatting with wonderful people like yourself. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's fun. Definitely fun. Thanks so much for having me. I super
Yeah, we'd love
appreciate it.
to come on your show if you want, and also we'd love to chat with you again. And maybe
Absolutely.
we like doing these Graham casts where we go live. I know that you noticed that, but having you on one of those would be amazing if we could figure out a topic and then go from there.
Sure, that'd
Yeah,
be
thanks,
awesome.
Jenny.
Thanks. Yeah. Definitely get you guys on the show for sure. We'll figure out a
Cool.
time.
Thanks, Jenny. So much
Yeah.
fun.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
We're done.
Yep. Salut.
That's it.
Bye now.